Live just about 2 minutes early, but I wanted to make sure I could get things up and going. And actually, not only are we 2 minutes early, we are an hour late for some of you who signed up yesterday. I had double booked myself and uh, missed some things on a time zone. Give me a second. I'm going to grab my coffee. So, who grabs coffee while live? Me. Um, it's just part of my charm. I mean, I'll do that in the middle of meetings too, and people will have to kind of put up with it or deal with it is the way I look at it. If we're not our true self in the way we interact with others, um, then who are we fooling? So anyhow, as we get closer to the 15-minute mark, I'm going to pull up just some notes from the past week, and we covered a fair amount of ground. I actually had the longest Tactical Tuesday recording that I've done so far, and it kinda turned into a whiteboard Wednesday, and I think it's because I just got a little bit too excited about the whole idea of how do we, um, how do we how do we design communication to create or support some kind of a journey, for our customers? So, we started the week with a quote from Mark Twain. A quote from Mark Twain, and the whole background of the quote, or at least my takeaway from the quote, is that there are a lot of things that we are scared of, that we fear, that prevent us from taking action, that aren't really there. They're not really true. They don't really happen. They're this story, this narrative that we make up in our own head, whether it's a lack of worthiness, a inability to do something, people are going to laugh at me, I might embarrass myself, any of those things. But we make this story up in our head, and it prevents us from taking action. And I would say is, take that quote to heart and just start taking action, take those steps. Then we got into designing your communication, which is that day that I went a bit long. And if you've watched the video, you'll see that I went long, but the content's really good. The focus there is, if I understand things that are important to my customer based on the challenges that they're dealing with, the problems that they're looking to solve, I can uh, share or start to distribute content in a meaningful way to help drive a level of engagement, basically create some breadcrumbs so that they can start jumping from one point to another. Now, the thing that you've got to know in order to be able to do that is, you actually have to know what your customer's dealing with, what problems they're actually struggling with. So you have to do the research, you have to do the work. And then beyond that, you actually have to look at your data. You have to test to see, is this something that resonates? If it isn't resonating, maybe it's time to stop. If it is resonating, go a little bit deeper. Ask questions. So we can design our communication in a way that has a positive impact on our customers and prospects. All of that aside, you can't control whether or not they open up the email, whether or not they even see the email. Email is not a good place to communicate with me. The best place to communicate with me is direct message. These days, direct messages on LinkedIn or direct messages on Twitter. And if you've got my cell phone, which is readily available, just send me a text message. It's another great way to get in contact with me. But Tuesday was more about, how do we design the communication for customers, design for customer experience from a communication perspective, and specifically got into some of the email communication. Doing the right things. Now, this is Scott Lee's had a post about reading the room, and of all the days to post on LinkedIn, and this was a live post. I posted it the day of all the days to post on LinkedIn. I choose the day that I share the model, avoid the chasm of death. Was yesterday, and I've talked with a number of people about it. And if you've worked with me long enough, you understand. Um, you understand how my mind works, or at least you've got a little bit of insight. Um, when I want, what I would like to see on my gravestone is the word genuine. Genuine. So I do. I bring myself to every interaction, to every conversation. I am what I am, whether it's on the golf course or it's here in front of this camera or it's engaged in discussions with customers or leading members of teams. I don't try to be someone different than I am. So that means that sometimes my language can be a little bit harsh and the timing may not actually be right. But so avoid the chasm of death, not the best tool to talk about with everything that's going on in the Ukraine and um, the struggles there. And, I mean, it's unfortunate how we politicize so much of this stuff, and we can get into that in a different conversation. But avoiding the chasm of death is really about the idea of how do I make sure that I'm doing the right things? Am I doing things that are either low effort, high impact because I've figured out the systems, I know something, I know how something works, I can help people overcome challenges, just common challenges, because a lot of the work we do is basic. It's basic fundamental stuff. And many of us spend a lot of time trying to do clever, creative tricks, shortcuts, quick fixes, whatever, and they don't work. You get back to the fundamentals. Do the fundamentals really, really well and repeat them really, really well over a period of time. And then you will be able to be more creative and innovative in the roles that you have. So I want to focus my time and energy on things that are low effort, high impact. Low effort for me, high impact for others, or things that are high effort for me and significantly high impact for others. High impact, low effort, high impact, high effort, significantly higher impact stuff. What I don't want to do is do a lot of stuff that's a lot of work and has really low impact. And what's funny about that is if you look at the wave that I share there, you can find people in your network. You can find people who you work with who actually are the inverse of that wave. So things that might be high effort to you are actually low effort to others. And this is where creating that diversity in your network is really important, and understanding what do people enjoy doing? Why do they enjoy doing it? How do they do it? What makes them different? And then we wrap things up. And actually, I said the chasm of death. That was on Wednesday. We on Whiteboard Wednesday. We wrap things up with a discussion on Thursday about channeling our inner covey, seeking first to understand and then to be understood. Now, what does that mean to me? That's asking questions, going a bit deeper. I had an awesome conversation with Lee Sauls, and that'll go on a podcast a bit later. And he described it in a really interesting way. And I know he's shared this out there before, but there are horizontal questions that get into the surface level stuff, and there are vertical questions that start to get into a deeper level of things, horizontal and vertical. Well, if you're just focused on those horizontal questions, how well can you actually understand your customer? And if you're working about on horizontal relationships within your customer base, meaning you're just staying surface level with an individual, how can you really understand your customer? Seek first to understand and then to be understood. So that wraps up live Friday as a follow up Friday or Friday follow up. Friday follow up. This is where we recap what's happened over the course of the week, reflect on those items as we wrap things up. And tomorrow we'll get into Suck It Up Saturday, which is all about looking at the data and saying, what did we actually do what we said we were going to do? And if not, let's go ahead and fix that before as we kick off the new week. Hope you're enjoying the videos. I've noticed that I'm getting more interaction on the pre-recorded videos than I am on the live ones, and I'm not exactly sure why that's the case. We're going to continue to test. Thanks for joining me on this journey. Thank you.